Welcome to my show where we talk about love, where we allow ourselves joy and compassion, where we are open to our authenticity, where speaking our truth is our birthright and we claim our abundance, our prosperity. Welcome here to this space where I share my love for healing, my love for connecting with women on a soul level, because I believe that we all have a purpose on this planet, and I am here to help you awaken that aspect of yourself. I am here to help you claim your inner power of safety and trust and creativity and confidence and love and healing and speaking your truth and intuition and connecting with those around you. Here and now is this space that I have created to join women together. I love you and I'm so grateful for you. May we lead with love and light, joy and compassion, my beautiful soul sisters. Hello, my beautiful soul sisters. How are you today? Has it been another week already? Sometimes it feels like, I'm sure that you resonate with this, weeks just like drag on, or they just like, you blink and it's almost like unreal. I'm in the middle of one of those weeks and I'm showing up and I'm showing up here, and as always, I'm speaking from my heart to your heart. I'm sharing all the things, being my authentic, vulnerable self, and I'm just allowing myself to be who I am and do the things that I do. Why don't we do that more? Why don't we do the things that we love to do, the things that bring us joy and liven us, right? It's because life gets in the way. I know as a mom, right? Being a mom takes up like 99% of your life. And the working full-time moms, I just like mind blown, like how you like keep all of that together, but you just do it. You do all the things and you work it in. And like me, you write the book, you teach the yoga classes, you continue to inspire women, but you still show up for your family and your kids are your number one. And I'm here. I'm just like, I'm heavy in my heart, but feeling light because I am allowing myself to not take on my husband's shit, right? Do you have that where perhaps if you're married and have a spouse, if your husband just has like a shit time or a shit day and then it just like absorbs and you take it on? Well, so my son, my baby, Jack, who's 8, he's like had this weird like kind of just like headache, low energy. And I can just tell he's not feeling good. He's not like so sick that he's in bed, but he's just not feeling well. And I can tell that he's just also feeling really overwhelmed by school. And I just had this like mama sensor saying yesterday, he needs to stay home today. And I don't even like, I'm really trying to process and understand where my husband's coming from, but it was the last time Jack was sick, and this time, like, he's had 10, now 11, 12 absences from school this school year because we went to Wisconsin for 6 days. And then, I mean, he's been sick. He said this is his like 4th cold from school. And he is having this crazy response where my husband, not Jack, reacts in this way where he's freaking out and it's like this fear of the future, saying that we need to teach our kids to persevere and just like stick it out. And by me taking care of him and keeping him home, my husband, it's like his projection. He's thinking that we're going to have 30-year-old kids who live at home. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, he's an 8-year-old little boy. He's not feeling well. Like, he's feeling overwhelmed. He needs some nurture time. Like, and today again, it happened again. And Jack is just, I can see, when you can look into your children's eyes and you just know, you can tell by their energy, you just know when they're feeling not their best self. And like, yes, I want to encourage my kids to kind of like push through, but I also want to encourage them to take care of themselves, because I feel like if I don't teach them to take care of themselves, then they won't. And obviously it's like through me that I have to help be the care provider. But Jack is also kind of having this like spunky energy, and it actually freaking snowed. What's the date today? It's actually October 27th, and my podcasting dates are getting switched, and it's fine, and I'm fine with it. And it's a Thursday, and it has snowed 3 inches, and it's like cold. The sun actually just came out, and there's like I said, 3 inches, and Jack loves snow. And so he helped me take Junie to her homeschool enrichment program this morning, and Rex took Milo, and he got out of the car and he was all bundled up in all of his snow gear and was like, I want to play outside. And I said, well, buddy, you're not feeling good. Maybe we need to come inside. And he said, but Mama, you know that nature is my dream. And then in that moment, of course, I'm just like, yeah, nature is your dream. You freaking go play in the snow. But then his dad got home and was still being puffy. Rex came home and he must have not had his appointment this morning or had an open space. And I was actually really proud of him. He went down in the basement and he was lifting his weights, but he like came up and got dressed and then he just headed out probably like 45 minutes ago, an hour ago. And he looked at Jack and said, what are you, dropping out of school? I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why are you saying that to our son? Like, what is going on through your mind? Like, I know that he has his stuff and it's obviously his stuff. It's like, if your son stays home from school when he's not feeling well, that doesn't mean he's going to be like a high school dropout, deadbeat human. Like, we are raising our children to be these amazing, independent, creative thinkers who are also successful. And it's really like, I'm feeling it like really heavy in my throat chakra and my heart and like down in my solar plexus. And when he said that, I honestly just didn't say anything when Rex said that. I was like, when you know your spouse and you know if you're going to say something that's just going to kind of like enrage them, it's like, you know what? It's not even worth it. Because this beautiful Buddha quote that I love so much, and it says, when you're right, keep silent. When you're wrong, say sorry. Like, admit it. And then it says, there's also this other really beautiful Buddha quote. It says, if what you have to say isn't more beautiful than silence, then don't say anything. And I felt like in that moment, it was not more beautiful than silence. And instead of being that empath that I have a tendency to be, I'm being this empath alchemist, if you've been listening, that I'm really learning how to harness, and I'm learning how to protect and keep my energy to myself. So if you are someone who finds yourself like me with this very big empath energy where we're taking on, I've been talking about this a lot because it's really here. It's really present in my life right now. And I am writing a book. This is going to be my third book. And because I've been thinking about my memoir, Sister, You Are Enough, that I already have like 111 pages that I'm already putting out into the universe, that this time around I'm going to get a publishing company, because I did start my own publishing company well over a year ago with a soul sister that it's just kind of fizzled out and just hasn't really worked out the best. And I'm grateful for our time together that we had with Voices Rising Press. But I feel like for these next books, I'm going to reach out and putting that vibe into the universe as if it's already here. That's how manifestation works. Where were we at? Oh yes, this is what we were talking about, is learning how we can like protect our energy from those around us. Like even this message just came up with Junie. She was actually, I'm trying to think if it was like 3 nights ago, just having like a really terrible night, just couldn't fall asleep. And then she was just like this emotional wreck. And it's this pattern that I've noticed since she's been a baby, like a toddler, where she just has so many emotions. And I feel like she's taking on so much of the world that she doesn't know how to process it. And then I'm her safe person. So she just like melts down and freaks out. And then my husband is not so patient and calm. So I just kind of tell him, like, can you just leave us be? Like, just let her, like, she's got to freak out. And it's probably unhealthy, and I don't know what it is. I'm just holding space for her when she is having these like huge emotional upheavals that I just kind of allow her and I hold space, but then I talk to her about it, and she's always very receptive after the meltdown. And then towards the end when I was like, Junie, it's time for me to go out and have some adult time. And Rex and I have been watching The Last Kingdom. It's like a total Viking show that I'm like enamored with right now. And I think it's Guthrum. Is Guthrum the main character? He's this very sexy, total Viking with just like one of those bodies that you're like, that's not even real. I've never seen that in real life. Is that real? With like the perfect pecs and like the amazing 6-pack abs and like the hips that like, yeah, he's a beautiful man. I'm sure he's probably in real life like 5'2" and I'm 5'9", so that puts it in perspective. But back to Junie, and these are my sidetracks. And I'll sing you a song. Oh, and so what she was saying is, when she goes to her options, she was like, but Mama, I just feel like I've been taking on everyone's energy and I don't know what to do about it. And it was once again like, oh, okay, Junie, let's talk about this. And I was talking to her about what alchemizing is. It's like a magical way of transforming or transmuting something, and that we are all alchemists, no matter what we think or not. Like, we all have this mental, emotional, physical, or spiritual way to alchemize things that we can find in our own creative ways to alchemize anything. Like, think of if you move into your house and it's like a blank canvas. Like, we moved into this house, it had like gross white carpets and white walls, and I alchemized the house. I painted it. We redid the floors. We added your touch. You bring your energy, you bring your furniture, and then you're alchemizing that. You're shifting it. Same goes for, think of your backyard. You have this, like, I remember we moved into a brand new house and it had a mud pit of a backyard. We lived like on the downslope of this hill, and it legitimately was like always this saturated mud pit. And we hired a friend who is a xeriscaper, which means like he doesn't do grass. He brings like edible landscaping in, and he had to build our yard up like 6 inches in some spots and 4 and 2, and just like leveling it out. And he alchemized the whole yard and made this beautiful backyard. And we had 3 raised garden beds. We had this beautiful red stone path that was actually my own magical labyrinth. And a labyrinth is just like this sacred walking space that actually started like back in the Catholic churches, like eons and eons and eons ago. And it still is. It's this very sacred, spiritual, meditative path. And I had that in my backyard in these strawberry berms, and it was beautiful, and it was alchemized. Like, we alchemized the backyard, we shifted it, we physically alchemized it. So being an energy alchemizer or an empath alchemizer is learning how to ground our energy, how to allow ourselves to be so rooted in this moment, so rooted in the earth, that we have no choice but to be protected. And like, I'm always sharing that nature is our biggest freaking teacher. I even think of today, like yesterday it off and on snow flurried. Today we woke up and it was like legitimately Narnia, but we live in Estes Park, and it's just like beautiful. Like, all of the trees have like 2 inches. I'm even looking out of my window in the back here where Jack's playing, and we have these trees that are probably, I would say, like 30, 40 years old, that are legitimately like 30 feet tall. Beautiful trees, and they have like 2 inches of snow, and you can tell that they're heavy, and it's beautiful. Like, the white is glistening, and it's cold, but it's gorgeous. And it was like, wow, we woke up and it was just shifted, like the climate shifted. And like nature, you just have to accept it, because I'm sure that there were so many people who woke up and were like, oh my gosh, it's snowing already. It's not even November yet. It's, how many times like we get frustrated. I went outside. My car is like covered in snow. Like, I have to start it up and take like 10 minutes it's like heavy snow to like sweep it off and move it. But no, like, I am being accepting. And even like when I was doing that, I could feel the energy that I was taking on from Rex, and him being all like, rah, 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 you need to send Jack to school. Push, push, push. I'm like, oh my God, like, good thing that the universe made there to be like two different kinds of parents. Hopefully, I'm sure sometimes there are single parents where a single parent has to play the role of both. And I give you compassion and gratitude because you are an amazing superhuman. And I personally like, I'm very grateful that my children have me and my husband because we do both bring these different elements. Like Rex brings like this adventure and this like push, push, push. And, I bring this, I know what I bring. I bring all the love and the creativity and the comfort and the ease, but also like I push them and I hold them accountable, right? I do that. Like having parents, it's nice to have that. And if you can take a moment and like think back to your childhood and where that lacked. Like I know that I really lacked that really strong father figure. I didn't really have that in my life, and that I mean I did, but it wasn't what I needed. And even like that nurturing side, that acceptance, that unconditional love from the mother figure, I didn't really receive that. So I've created that now as a parent, and that's the freaking beauty of being a parent, is that you can alchemize, you can be whatever it is or whoever you want to be. And that's the same with this life. We can be whoever we want to be. But these emotions that when I was talking with Junie about protecting her energy, so I'm going to hop back to that real quick. I had this idea. I was like, okay, Junie, we're going to have an emotional awareness lesson. We're going to have emotional awareness day tomorrow. And I had all of these like amazing ideas. I'd remembered back to my son Kelton's class when we went to this Waldorf inspired school, and the teacher had made these like kind of like prayer flags that were like signals, like red, yellow, green, blue, whatever, all the colors, whatever the colors were. And then each signified your emotion. So she could kind of see like how you're feeling. So if you're in the red, like, oh, you're feeling bad, you're having a bad day, maybe you're angry, you're feeling frustrated. And so on the back of these then flags or construction paper were kind of like tools, things that you could do to help yourself. Again, when we're talking about alchemize, like shifting the way that we're feeling. And so we did. So the next day, Junie and I woke up and we had a really awesome day. It was a great day. I mean, it was off and on. It was like a day. It was a day with all the emotions. And we talked all about our emotions and what is emotional awareness. And it was beautiful because I was thinking this whole time, I'm like, I'm going to write a chapter in my book, my book about alchemizing empath energy, about emotional awareness. What is it? What does it mean to be aware? Like, we're aware of our surroundings. We can look and we can see our house is a mess. Oh, my house is a mess. I feel gross because of it. I can look at Rex and be like, oh God, he's being a total a-hole today. He's having a really bad day. I'm going to hold space for you. I'm going to not jump down your throat, or I'm going to fight back and have one of those days. I do that with my kids too. So emotional awareness, right, is being aware of what's happening within you. And I feel like it is so essential and important to make sure that you are taking time, even if it's a minute or 2 minutes, to just acknowledge how you're feeling. And the best time to start that is first thing in the morning. Like, I really do my best to get my butt up and just sit on my meditation cushion. It's been freezing, so we turn on the fire. I love my fireplace. Like Rex and I last year, we had 3 carbon monoxide leaks, and we got a new furnace from it and a new fireplace. And we got to put up this beautiful, I got to pick this white quartz, and they're like really long, horizontal, white and light gray quartz, and they're sparkly and beautiful. And that's like the tile around the fireplace. And it's a beautiful grand fireplace. Like, it's probably like 3 inches to 4 inches taller and 3 to 4 inches wider all around. And it's a beautiful fireplace. So I sit there, and even if it's just take a moment, like sit on the toilet or sit on your bathtub, or just take a moment and maybe together, let's do this practice. So this is going to be our emotional awareness self-care practice of today. So you can even do this if you're standing up, and just take a moment. Maybe just take your right hand and you can put that on your heart. Exhale. Allow a breath to come in and fill up your heart. Let it sweep down into your belly and then exhale. And try to concentrate on just a nasal breath. Nasal breathing is our most healthy form of breath. It's been actually performed through studies to show that we can actually raise and optimize our health by just nasal breathing and not mouth breathing. So breathe that breath in, let it fill and almost flood your system with oxygen. Exhale through the nose. And really just notice as that breath comes in. Exhale it out. And as you continue to breathe your breath, exhale. And now allow your breath to find an organic rhythm. And sometimes it naturally will increase. Sometimes it naturally will slow. And here and now, acknowledge that space behind your hand on your chest. Feel into the body. How is it feeling here? Just a noticing. This is an emotional noticing scan as we scan from our heart and the space around it, and even the extensions of the heart, which are the arms and the fingers. Notice, how is it feeling here right now? Notice. Can you feel subtle movements? Can you feel perhaps maybe there is that underlying anxiety or that blah, 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 or perhaps a physical pain, even reaching to the back side of the body, sweeping back? How is that back feeling? And just sweeping down the lower vertebrae and the spine all the way to the rib cage and the belly and the hips. Notice this space. How is it feeling in the tummy? How is it feeling in the lower rib cage? How's that lower back, those lower vertebrae feeling? Just notice it. That's the physical body. What about reaching to that more energetic space? How is that more energetic, emotional space? Energy, emotion, body. How is that feeling? How are those feeling? Can you feel subtle movements? Can you feel underlying pain? Sweeping down the legs all the way to the knees, ankles, feet, toes. Notice here. Notice any physical discomfort, any just, what is that? Maybe notice, if your subconscious or your mind is trying to say, why am I doing this? Notice the thoughts come back down to the actual physical space of the legs. Perhaps you can notice that subtle body, that energy body in your roots. Are you feeling able to trust in this moment and safe? Or are you feeling, not so trusting and not so safe? Whatever it is, there's no right or wrong. And we're going to sweep back up, spiraling all the way up. We already, from the belly to the heart to the shoulders, sweeping to the throat. Notice the actual throat. Notice that subtle body, the energy body of the throat and the communication. How is it feeling in that space? Noticing the jaw, the wetness of the tongue. Notice that breath in the nose. Notice my voice vibrating in your ears. Noticing the space behind the eyelids, the forehead, the third eye, the top of the head. Noticing. How is it feeling in the physical body? The head, the jaw. Is the jaw feeling tense and tight? Perhaps you can unclench your jaw. Soften the shoulders down away from the ears. Notice that emotional body in the mind and the head space. Notice the energy body. Just taking this noticing. Bringing your palms, kissing palms to that beautiful, beautiful heart of yours. Acknowledging yourself today, here in this moment. Acknowledging all the love and the light within you. And just bowing to yourself, honoring and acknowledging. Namaste. It's interesting. When I first started these mindfulness practices, I was a little resistant to the word namaste. I was like, what is that? It feels like there's a lot of things that I learned in yoga that almost felt like, like you kind of reach for that like culty practice. Really, when you tune in, namaste is just this Eastern greeting, and it's acknowledging light and love within you, and it's acknowledging that within others, and that's all it is. And it's just this noticing within yourself. So maybe take that big exhale, wiggle the jaw. Notice. I am noticing in my body. I've been holding a lot of tension in my shoulders and my back, and I've been doing this beautiful new practice I'm so grateful that I got gifted called dowsing. It's DOWSING. And it's also, like back in the days, was known as water witching. It's using like a pendulum and then these L-shaped rods, which I've talked about before, to locate like water wells. And it's been successfully done for eons. And you can also use it as energy and entity removal. And so I got my L rods, like, I'm trying to think of 5 days ago. It was like last week. And I've been doing a lot of energy clearing, and I'm so grateful for it. And it's legitimately it's tapping into your subconscious, and you download these programs, these dowsing programs, and you can be just a conduit. It's just being a conduit of helping others. And you can't do it from a state of your ego or self-beneficial like gain. It's just for helping yourself, like your personal self, or helping others. And it is beautiful and amazing. And I'm so grateful because I've just downloaded it. But as I'm noticing doing these energy clearings, and if you listen to last week's podcast, I shared with you that I cleared these 2 houses, one that 2 people had died in, and I totally got some wacky energy latched onto me from that. And so I helped remove and free those energies off of me, and felt better. But even it's like today, I'm noticing, even with all this alchemizing and shifting, that I'm holding in my shoulders. I've been holding a lot in my shoulders. So I've been really aware of that. And I've been clearing this space. And last year for Christmas, I got Rex, my husband, this like amazing massager. I think it was like $80 on Amazon. And it's amazing. It has almost like these like arms that like are like scarves, but it's made out of like kind of synthetic, probably like vinyl or leather. And it has these big things where you can hold your hands, and it massages, and it's big. I would say it's probably like 8 inches wide by maybe 6 inches tall. And I've been at night after I put my kids to bed and the house is quiet, the puppy's in bed, Jasper's been in his kennel, Joy's calm, everyone's calm, and Rex and I are having our like adult hangout time. I've been massaging my back, and I feel like it's something so simple that I can do for a self-care practice, to just take time to do something for myself. And even in that moment, I'm connecting with my husband, and then we've been watching this lovely show, and it's been really wonderful, and just acknowledging and noticing where I'm holding. So with that, for you, my beautiful soul sister, I just ask you, perhaps, where are you holding on in your body? Where are you noticing this physical manifestation, probably from the emotional state, maybe from some of that empath energy that perhaps you're taking on other people's shit? Where are you noticing it? And when we did that scan, I really encourage you can just do that scan in the morning, just like taking that emotional awareness, just becoming aware, right? You can call it an emotional awareness, an energy awareness, or just a noticing, and knowing that, right, everything is energy. So our emotions, like think of when we have these big upheavals. I'm thinking of with Rex, and I was feeling like free and floaty, and then it was like all of a sudden my back just felt like, oh, do you ever get that where you're like, ugh? It's like you're taking these like energetic hits from other people. With that noticing, this is something that I've really been kind of practicing, is like, how can we alchemize and move this energy instead of just holding on to it, right? So one thing, like pretty simple, massaging it, like, oh, ow, that hurts. Like, what is that? Where's that coming from? You don't even have to know, just holding space and just nurturing it instead of ignoring it, because we've been so trained to just ignore and push through. I feel like that's like what my husband is trying to teach the kids, like ignore and push through. It doesn't matter. It's like, no, we must acknowledge what's going on in our bodies and freaking take care of ourselves. And right, it doesn't mean that the world has to stop, but it's like take freaking 5 minutes or 10 minutes out of your day to figure out what's going on with you and to help you so it doesn't manifest deeper into something like in your internal organs or your heart or your lungs or your brain or your thyroid or whatever it is. So really just with this emotional awareness and this kind of noticing, it's what can we do to help ourselves to move this energy? So think of the word move. How can we move energy? I think of just moving. I've been noticing too when I'm holding it in my back, I'll kind of just like take one of my fists and just like kind of pound, and then shake my arm. Like what can you do to like physically move that energy to like let it go? And if you're someone perhaps like me, or maybe you might not be like this, where you can feel it in your body, maybe you can just like open that space. I can almost like imagine a white light or almost like that healing color coming in, like with like this beautiful, like loving vibration, and just like opening, holding space, holding compassion for that. And if that feels far away, then reach for the physical. Like we can always, I feel like as humans, just like snap our fingers and be in our physical. Like we're here. We know we're physical. Like people, how often do you hear people say like, I'm feeling so tired today. My back hurts, my leg hurts, my knee hurts, my head hurts. We're very aware of our physical selves. But when we can kind of link back to why are we experiencing all of these physical things, right? Because these are our manifestations and these are the experiences that we need to experience here and now. And these are all signs, I believe, that our soul, that the universe is communicating with us. And it's up to us if we're like open to listening. Just be aware. Like if you've had chronic back pain your whole life, or you had a severe injury that caused that, how can you nurture that? And how can you in this moment begin to heal that? I believe that it begins with our emotional state. I believe that we've all been wounded, and whether it's in this life or past lives, that we have these deep-seated wounds. We have these deep-seated programmings. And a way to start healing that emotional, energetic body is forgiveness. And it can feel like very far away and very confusing. Forgiveness can at first. I remember when I first heard of forgiveness as a practice, I was like, you can do that? I didn't realize that forgiveness was a thing. Like I knew that sometimes as a kid, like I'd be like, oh gosh, I hope they forgive me. I'm a terrible human. I remember feeling like that all of the time, but I never really had an experience as a child or even a young adult or even a middle adult. I'm 39 now, where someone was like, forgive me. I never really experienced that. And I didn't really know how to access that. And knowing more in that metaphysical, spiritual realm, that forgiveness, it like, when we can access forgiveness, it goes deep, deep, deep. And there's even been like these beautiful studies that I wrote about in my book, Awaken You from Pain to Healing, A Woman's Way of Waking Up to Her Life, where Vishen Lakhiani, he's the founder of Mind Valley, and they were doing kind of like this test study, and they had all these different students, and they had them hooked up to these like brain electrodes, and they were walking these people through meditation and just seeing the different brain states, like all of the alpha, theta, beta, like the wave states. And I'm pretty sure it's alpha, that big alpha wave state where we get deep into the meditative states. And I'm thinking that's correct. I could be off a little bit on, sometimes it's hard for me to remember all of those brain states, but they had this one woman that they'd never seen, like these huge levels, like her consciousness, she just kept, it was like off the charts. Like the computers were like, real. And when they had completed the meditation, they asked the woman, like, how did you reach those states, like over and over and over? And how did you hold those states? And she said, I was trying to forgive him. I was trying to forgive the bastard. And she was saying that she was trying to forgive her ex-husband. I don't know if it was exactly if he cheated on her, just did her wrong. And so she was accessing forgiveness. within that deep meditative state. And this is a practice that I legitimately do most days, especially at nighttime. I mostly do it at nighttime. So if you are thinking, how can I do that? How can I fit that into my day? I don't have time. This is our thing. We're always like, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that. Well, do you have time for illness? Do you have time for like making your back worse and worse? Do you have time for hobbling around on your knee? Do you have time for those crippling headaches, those horrible sore throats? Make time to help heal your emotional state. Because if we don't heal ourselves, we will be no good for any other people. And so a way that we can do this meditation practice, you are going to go to bed every night. It's going to happen, right? You're going to be laying in your bed. Most of the time when we're laying in our bed at night, what are we doing? We're mostly laying there worrying and worrying and worrying. But if you've been listening and following with me, what are we on, episode like 36 or 37? For the last months, that you know that we can do something about it. And if you have, I hope you have, you've created a gratitude practice by now. If you haven't, you can do it. You can start right now by saying, I'm grateful. I am grateful. That's like my foundation of life, of waking throughout the day, through struggles, through all things, with my kids, with my husband. My foundation, my go-to self-help tool is gratitude. So being that our basics, our back to the basics, our foundations of life is gratitude, but how we can access and start healing ourselves on these deeper emotional, energetic, spiritual, metaphysical levels is accessing forgiveness. So as you're laying in that bed, I really feel like it helps if you make that heart connection. So by putting a hand on your heart or even wrapping your arms across your chest like a hug. Most of the time I lay on a side and I hug myself to sleep. So what happens is we are simulating oxytocin. Different language, different life. Oxytocin. That's the love hormone. That's that touch hormone that it doesn't matter if that touch is coming from me or from you or from your partner or your child or your dog or your cat or your whatever. That touch that's simulated. And then it starts with that I am affirmation. I am. I am. I am. The two most powerful, that seemingly most simple words that we can speak are our words of manifestation. When you label anything I am, they come to fruition. When you add that feeling in, so we're already starting with that feeling by hugging ourselves. We're bringing that feeling of love up. I am forgiveness. I am forgiveness. I am forgiveness. Or even sometimes it can be like, that can be a hard one to access. And if you're feeling that, you just say, I forgive you. And you just put it out there and you say it over and over and you repeat it over and over. Because as our beautiful Louise Hay, our beautiful mentor, our love and our light has taught us, it takes 200 to 300 times to say something for our subconscious mind to believe it as true. Because especially when we're starting something like a forgiveness practice, it's like, who do I forgive? Am I forgiving myself? Who am I forgiving? I can't forgive them. Okay. I will preface. I'm having one of those times. I'm morphing into an alternate universe right now. That I will preface that forgiveness is for you. It's not for them. And it does not discount all of the harm and the bad things that people do or have done to you. It does not make it okay. It does not justify it. Forgiveness is for healing your heart, for healing your energy, for healing your emotions. When you help healing these deeper levels, it's like, whew, it's like you lift that 7,000-pound elephant that's been like sitting on your shoulders, or for me, resting between my shoulder blades or on my lower back. And it's like, you know, those like, have you ever had that miraculous moment when you're like, oh my gosh, I just feel like, and you could cry like, I feel so light. What is that? It's like you let that shit go. You let that hurt, that old pain, that abandonment, that neglect, that whatever it is that you've been holding on to. It's like you let that go. Those deep-seated emotions. And coming back to that Junie story when we did our emotional awareness day on Wednesday, was it Wednesday or Tuesday? It was this week. And I was reminding her of, if you've ever heard of Esther Hicks, she's this like amazing powerhouse intuitive who can like communicate with the spiritual realm. Well, she shares with us this emotional scale. So think of this beautiful vertical line. I've talked about this before. On the very top is love, love and gratitude and joy. All of these like good high vibrations, like happiness, all of those good feelings are up high, 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 high. Forgiveness, like accessing, opening your heart. In the middle is kind of like boredom, stagnation, bah. And then we start creeping down, down, down to the bottom of the emotional scale. And then we start walking down to shame, to regrets, to jealousy, resentment, to anger, to hate. And at the bottom of the barrel, right? Hate and fear and all of those yucky vibrations. So this is a great way for us to have emotional awareness. And you can actually even just look up like Esther, it's Ester, Hicks, Hicks, emotional scale. And you can just, so you can kind of see that. I really like that visual. It's nice to have. I wonder if I can somehow copy and paste that in the notes here. I don't know if I can or not, but you can just give yourself that good old search, whatever search engine that you use. And knowing that whatever emotion that we're in, we can just like climb up the ladder. And like I was thinking of that night with Junie, and this is what I was talking to her about, and it was actually really beautiful. And she was going through all of these emotions. This was literally her bedtime thing. And she went from feeling upset. Sadness is one of them, obviously. Just think of all of the feelings and just, you can kind of like guess where they would be, if there would be a high vibration or a low vibration. And Junie was like sad, and think of sadness. Like you're so sad, or anger. You get angry. Anger is deep-seated sadness. And she went from, it was like, some people may call this manic. I call it just being an expressive, emotional human. You go from like anger to being sad, to being overwhelmed, to being frustrated, to being really scared. And you're slipping up and down this emotional scale. And it's because you're in that vibration. You're in those low vibrations. All those low vibrations, resentment, guilt, shame, blame, all those fear, those create anxiety. Those are our anxiety prohibitors, right? Inhibitors, would it be for? I don't know if I'm using the right words. They would be the creators. Let's say they are the makers, the manifestors of anxiety, of worry, of all of that, of doubt. All of that is when we're stuck feeling guilty, when we're resenting others, when we're holding. And so that is where anxiety is birthed. And so if we can have that emotional awareness when we're feeling like that, like I brought to my daughter's awareness, like, oh, Junie. And I was imagining, and I was using my fingers like we were walking up and down the ladder, like we were falling in anger, and we were resenting. And then she said she was feeling jealous because I spend too much time with her brothers at nighttime. And then she was feeling sad for feeling jealous of her brothers. And it was like, but she was just so stuck in those low vibrations on that emotional scale. And then I reminded her that a way to climb up that ladder is forgiveness, is forgiving yourself. It's mostly, I feel like starting with ourself is a great way to start, because sometimes reaching for people who have really harmed us can be kind of far away. So accessing that forgiveness to yourself, because we were all born, right? We have this like soul side and this ego, and the ego is the one that takes over, and the ego is the one that gets us down. The ego loves fear. The ego loves to slip down on that emotional scale and stay and wallow down in the bottom in the darkness. Like the ego's like, yes, but our soul, our spirit, our love, our light likes to shoot up and take us to gratitude, to bring us to joy, to bring us to peace, to allow forgiveness. And remembering that we get to choose the way that we're feeling. What? Maybe not in this moment, but if you can choose to rewire, to recreate what you're thinking about, you can recreate how you're feeling. So yeah, maybe you're feeling overwhelmed. Maybe you're stuck in that anxiety of resentment or guilt or blame or whatever it is. It's like a pattern. We all have these like energetic patterns, emotional, subconscious programming that we've probably learned from people, our parents, especially our siblings, our aunts, uncles, grandparents. Sometimes they're toxic and we don't even notice it because it's a pattern. We're kids. They were recorded like our kids now, like they're just like walking sponges. But You don't have to stay stuck in feeling this guilt from the husband. Like me, think of me and my husband trying to guilt me. I get to choose my feelings, and I don't have to take on his shit. If he's feeling like, oh my gosh, he's reaching for that fear, our kids are going to be staying at home forever. Well, he knows that's not true. I know that's not true. He knows that I am just doing the best for Jack and doing the best that I can here. I hold and I protect my energy, because I will tell you the same thing that I've been telling everyone. I tell myself this, I tell my children, my sisters, that nobody can make you feel a way that you don't want to feel. But when you are in that empath state and you're just open and vulnerable, yeah, you absorb, you take on that guilt, you take on that shame. You're like, oh my gosh, I regret doing that. Why did I do that? Why did I keep Jack home? He's going to be 30 years old and he's going to be living in our basement. No, I freaking choose again. I choose no. I know that I'm doing the best that I can, and I reach up. I climb up that emotional freaking ladder. I climb up. I reach for forgiveness. And even just putting that out there. So when we're laying in our bed, back to that beautiful self-care practice, that hand on your heart or hugging yourself, you are accessing oxytocin. You are allowing yourself to actually feel love in your body. You're feeling safe. You're feeling comfort. I forgive you. I forgive you. And remember again, that does not mean that it makes it okay for what those people did and how they hurt us. And remembering, we're not victims. We're not victims. We experience this and we are accountable. We own up. We know that we needed to experience these things, even the really hard, very dark things, because all of those hard experiences, they freaking made you the woman, the powerhouse that you are today, the vulnerable, authentic, amazing human that you are today. And we access forgiveness and we send it out. We send that vibration out because that is a high vibration. And once again, then we're recreating our emotions and how we're going to feel and how we're going to show up. And the more we can practice forgiveness, the more we can access and open our heart, connect with these deeper levels of ourselves, the more profound, the deeper healing, the more connected in our relationships that we will be, because we're not holding on. We're not like resenting this person constantly. And even through all of these practices, sometimes I find myself doing things with my husband that I'm like, I catch myself still feeling like, if my husband, say the other night, he was going to one of his employees that was having a birthday and was having the guys over for a drink. Well, immediately I kind of get mad and passive aggressive with him. And then he's like, you're being passive aggressive. Should I just come home? I'm like, no, just go. It's fine. And then I like hang up the phone. I'm like, you know what? It's fine. Just go have that drink, like be responsible and come home. And I realized I was like feeling in my emotional body. Well, it was those deep-seated feelings of abandonment from like being a little girl, and something that I've opened kind of like through past lives, that I have been abandoned through many lives, and that was coming up. And so instead of just like holding that on him, like, oh, he's abandoning me, I resent you, I'm like blaming him, I felt into my body and I just said, I forgive you. I forgive you. I know you're not abandoning me. Like, I forgive you. I forgive you. And I said it like, you say it over and over and over and over and over. You say it until you feel that it's true. And then it just like softened. And then it was like, oh, I let that go. And just like you can notice that throughout the day, how many times where we will get stuck in that emotional scale on those low vibes. Low vibes, they're so easy to suck us down. And because we have these different parts of our brain that actually are working kind of against us most of the time, we have that fight, flight, freeze response. It's easy. It's so easy, I feel like, to get stuck in fear, especially like the pandemic is like lifting, it's feeling lighter, but it's still so easy to come back to fear. No matter what's going on in the world, pandemic or not, there will always be something that the media is going to put a lot of darkness on and try to fear us, to control us. But we don't have to allow anyone, especially media or other people, to control us, because we really are the ones who get to choose to control ourselves with our freaking awareness, my sisters. with our awareness. How powerful is that? By just being an aware human, you get to be in control of yourself. And I know for me that control it's one of these programs that I have been programmed with. And I know it's served me for a long time. Like when my kids were really little, being a controlled mama was like so helpful. And even in moments like in my house, if I don't have control and order in my house, it turns into a shit show. And then I feel overwhelmed. The energy is crazy. It's like mass chaos. But it's like control what you can in your life in healthy ways. Because I will admit here, maybe this is the first time ever. No, I think I've said it before, but I'm really working on letting go of control. That it's been something I've struggled with for a long time. And even with my husband, I mean, this is coming up on our 19th year anniversary, December 7th. Like we've been together for 20 years and I find myself trying to control him. And the more I do that, the more he resists. He's almost like reverting back to like an unruly teenager, even though I'm like getting unruly teenagers. I'm like, how am I freaking old enough to have unruly teenagers? Ah! So something I've been working on is like letting go, a lot of forgiveness, like a freaking lots, like so much forgiveness. Like I lay in bed and I mantra, I am forgiveness. I forgive you. I forgive you. I forgive you. And I forgive me. I forgive myself. And I'm putting that forgiveness out, even my birth mother. It's like I felt like I was feeling so good and grounded and like over all of the pain that I've endured through her. But I think the holiday times it comes up and I'm feeling kind of more of that. Like I can feel her energy coming in and I'm just sending her love and forgiveness and knowing that in this life, in this time, I can't deal. Like I can't choose to have her in my life. And I send her love and I send her forgiveness. And right, our parents, like those are our biggest teachers, I feel like, and our kids. I mean, and everyone. But it's like we have to keep continually holding space. And then maybe there will be a point one day, one moment in time, space, reality, dimensions, energy, realm, whatever it is, where we actually do. I really forgive this person 100%. I can forgive you. I forgive you and I let it go. And forgiveness doesn't mean that you're just like, maybe sometimes you could start fresh. But for me, my forgiveness practice is for me. And if there's other people who are still stuck in toxic energy and cycles, I don't have space for them in my life. I create these healthy boundaries. I have a whole episode on creating healthy boundaries in your relationships. That's also a part of being this healthy mind, body, and spirit. And you have to think of our life as like this beautiful circle, this pie, this pizza. And there's all of these different elements like our family, our relationships, our business, our career, our right communication. That's probably back there in our relationships, our health, our wellness, our spiritual practice, our physical health. I might be missing out on some, but it's like, think of this whole circle. And if there's one piece missing, it's like, nah. And I don't know if we're ever meant to be like perfectly balanced or like perfect. Perfectly imperfect is my motto. That it's just having this awareness of all of these different aspects and elements in our life. My beauties. So many things. I'm so grateful for you. I love this. I love showing up and I can just feel your love. I feel you. I feel you. And no, I'm here for you, holding space for your personal growth journey, for your spiritual journey, for your healing journey. I'm here. I'm here knowing that you're not alone in your journey. And please, I haven't gotten comments yet, but you can write me on Awaken You Shelly Bond on Gmail. So it's awaken you shellybond at gmail.com. And please, if there is like any part of your healing journey that you want to share or any wisdom or anything that you are needing, I'm here for you. I would love to share and connect with you on deeper levels. And I really just encourage you again. So we kind of offered 2 self-care practices because maybe they don't both resonate and maybe one does, maybe one doesn't. As with everything, take what does and leave what doesn't. Let it go. Let it go. That we can do that emotional awareness scan, just being aware. And even in moments throughout the day. So we did that practice, but what about throughout the day when we're noticing maybe our husband triggers us, or our spouse, or our kid, or someone driving, or whatever it is, like triggers this response, and then we immediately react in a way that we're probably not proud of. And it's because we're dipping down on that emotional scale. And then maybe we can just like, perhaps after, sometimes it's like when you're seeing red, that red takes over, that black darkness takes over. And then when you can take, I know for me, I need to like pause, step back, and be like, oh gosh, yeah, I am feeling this way. So then I can reach up. I can allow myself permission to be human. Like, I'm feeling these feelings. I am not holding on to them. I am freaking letting them go. And I'm going to share with you this beautiful poem that I shared with my daughter this week called The Guest House, and it's by a Sufi poet, Rumi. I think it's Rumi or Rumi. Is it? No, Rumi. My brain. Okay. So there's a lot of different translations. This one is translated by Coleman Barks from 2004. So this is The Guest House. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house, empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight, the dark thought, the shame, the malice. Meet them at the door, laughing, and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. And it's Rumi, Rumi, Rumi. I used to say Rooney, so that's why my brain is saying that. That, just sit with that. I remember when I was younger, poetry used to baffle me. I'm like, what does it mean? It was wonderful when Junie and I were sitting and I listened to that poem, where I read it to her, and she said, oh, that's your feelings. Those are your emotions. You let all of them in. And so you can imagine your front door, whatever it is. I imagine my heart. Junie imagined her third eye opening. You let them come in. And if you can be this just patient, loving, accepting host, that all of the emotions will come in, even those low vibrations of guilt and anger and shame and fear. And they're going to come in, and they're going to come around, and like that beautiful poem said, it's maybe sweep your furniture out, like taking them out. Then maybe you can sweep. I imagine like an old witch's broom, like I'm going to sweep it out my front door, like, or you just need to allow it. Allow it. Allow it. And know that not one energy or emotion or feeling or even day, unless you're stuck in Groundhog Day, lasts a lifetime. That everything is shifting and everything is growing and expanding and sometimes constricting. And that emotional scale is here to show us that we can become these emotionally aware humans, these emotionally aware women, this feminine, this divine feminine energy that the world needs right now. Like, we've been so suppressed by male energy for so long. And even I just like feel it with my husband, and I feel like that's me, like, rawr! And like, I am like in a way a feminist, but I also like equality. Like, I'm all about equality. Equality. Like, we are all the same. It doesn't matter what gender you are, you do identify with, don't identify with, what ethnicity, where you come from in the world, at what age you are. It doesn't matter. We're all the same. That just exhale, be emotionally aware. And we are the ones who can choose to set ourselves free. And so, right, we have that practice where we can become emotionally aware. Like, we're aware of this shame, this guilt, this resentment. Like, why did I do that? I fucked up really bad today. Forgive yourself. I will say it again, forgive yourself. Freaking forgive yourself. I am here. I have got your back. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. And I really hope that you can allow yourself to access that forgiveness. Like as you become more aware of your emotions and what's happening around you, you can become more aware of others. And you're like, oh yeah, he's stuck in fear. Oh gosh. Yeah. Oh God, you're really a blamer. You're blaming. And we're doing this without judgment, right? Because judgment is another one of those things of the ego. Judgment can cloud our perception of love and light. Judgment also belongs down, the burning rain of fire. I don't know where that came from. It just came, Johnny Cash. We've been listening to a lot of Johnny Cash and Elvis in this house. I love Elvis. Thank you, Elvis, and your energy. Anyways, judgment is downtown on that emotional scale. So remembering, like, all of those are triggers of anxiety. And when we find ourselves in those anxiety-ridden moments, sometimes days, sometimes weeks or months or years, forgive yourself and forgive those who have harmed you. And you will create space. You will allow that weight to lift. You will find this softness, this opening, this acceptance. You will heal yourself in deeper ways that you never knew existed, that you never believed possible. It's here. It's right within you. It's right within this moment. It's right within accessing that deep emotional pain, the suffering with forgiveness. Forgiveness. I love you. I'm so grateful for you in this space. And please share this today. I just love this space and showing up here. And please, you can check out free yoga classes and all things, my favorite things healing, on Awaken You Healing Center with Shelly on YouTube. I'm actually getting ready to record a lovely yoga class. Last week I did some awesome, it was last week and the week before, practices on the Vishuddha chakra, the throat chakra, which is based on healing our communication. And one of them is through mantra, and the other one is through movement, through asana, the yoga actual movement portion, all signposts towards healing and letting go of what is no longer serving us. And so I love you. You can follow me on Facebook, Shelly Bond, and also Awaken You Shelly Bond at Instagram, my friends. I love you. My book, Awaken You, is available now on Amazon. And for reals, the audiobook is like coming closer and closer. It's like inching. It's been taking a really long time, but I really am trusting. I trust in divine timing. It's going to be ready for these like cold months to cozy up and listen to many hours of my voice connecting to you. Awaken You, from pain to healing, a woman's way of waking up to her life. If you're looking for that on Amazon though, just search up Awaken You Shelly Bond. I freaking love you. I'm so grateful for you. And I will be back here hanging out with you next week. Thank you so much. I love you. Bye.